So you can't really talk about modernization of any tech, payments included, without talking about, regulation. So do you have any advice for companies that are looking to sort of modernize their payment system, but also sort of balance, security and compliance? I'm thinking KYC, AML, whatever it may be.
I mean, I could start. Obviously, you don't have a product if it's not going to be compliant. So just start there. I wouldn't even put it as a this or that, right? So obviously, from the Wise perspective, we're a licensed money transmitter and supervised by the CFPB, but you have to think about these things in tandem. And so I would actually maybe challenge that question a little bit. Of course, in the cross-border space especially, there's more complexity. But I also think if you are laser focused, like we have been for the past 14 years, on solving something within that space, it is possible. And we were just talking about this before the panel, but sometimes it feels like you talk about domestic payments and everything seems solvable. And with cross-border, it's like, oh, it's too hard, it's too complex, we can't be transparent because of this or that for our customers. That's just not true. I would really challenge that. And there's so many innovations today that are being made. I would love to see some of what we've seen on the domestic side now cross over to the cross-border side as well. Like FedNow, for example, they could enable cross-border payments on FedNow. That's not yet the case. Mm-hmm. So there are changes that we can make there in addition to expanding access to the system.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think that balance, it's not contradictory. And there's, the trust that is important for your customer in the sense of how you're managing compliance and how you're managing security, that is important too. They want to make sure that you are, as an organization, are a trustworthy organization. And these are critical components as part of it. I think there are ways in which you can do all of these things and still kind of manage and balance customer experience. And when you're asking, it's all these edge cases that cause issues with payments. It's when a payment needs to go into a queue and requires a manual review, and all of a sudden the customer is like, "What's happening there? And why do I need to provide all these documentation?" Those are actually the things that they're sort of like 80-20, but you really need to invest in those areas to make sure that you're maintaining that trust with your customer, because it's those times where it may be an issue that you need to kind of solve for from a compliance standpoint, but in many cases you can solve it with the right documentation. But if that experience is a bad one, you would have lost the trust with the customer forever. So even when you're making sure that you're managing through compliance and security, all these things, you can still do it in a way that is transparent and you're thinking about the customer experience.